The best a man can get.
Back here, first things first, joined by NBA and NCAA champ Antoine Walker. Antoine, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Jenna, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I like that hello. It was just plain, and it was just, let's get right to it. Antoine, we're talking Kyrie Irving this morning. No.
Go ahead.
It was smooth. I like the way he did it. Early on, Kyrie seemed destined to pair up with Kevin Durant here in New York with the Knicks, but reports now are that he's given every indication that it's a different New York team he wants to play with, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn's young roster had a resurgence this past season, finishing 6th in the East with 42 wins. Antoine, what do you think about possible destinations for Kyrie? Knicks, Nets, neither, both?
Well, I have a lot of comments about this situation.
Okay.
Well, the first one is I think for Brooklyn, it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you get a chance to get a top 10 player, top 5 point guard in the league, you take a full advantage of that, and you obviously sign a Kyrie Irving, knowing there's a possibility that he has leadership
deficiencies.
You know, you got to think about that. He's had the problems in Boston. I don't think that's something that you can overlook, being that you have a young core. Obviously, you're basically saying that you're going to build on D'Angelo Russell. I don't think those two guys fit together. With him and Russell being 2-point guards, I don't think they'll be able to play together. I think the other thing you look at if I'm Kyrie Irving is obviously I want to go back home. Basically put myself, if I'm not able to land another big-time free agent with me, we're going into almost a rebuilding situation or a 500 type team again that you just came off a 41, 42 win team. And the other big question I got about this, I want to just know what direction Kyrie's thinking as a player. I mean, obviously you don't want to be in Boston, and you have good core in Boston. You guys have done really well together. Last year obviously didn't get to where you wanted to be as a team, but the pieces are in play where you can actually really make a legitimate run and maybe sign one other guy to come off the bench because you're going to probably lose Terry Rozier.
Yes.
But obviously he wants to lead there. So now you got to switch it over to, okay, I want to go to New York. New York is probably not the place for him. That's why I think Brooklyn's probably the place for him. The media is a little bit softer in Brooklyn than it's going to be on the New York Knicks.
Yes,
the pressure's going to be a little bit more different in Brooklyn than it will be with the Knicks. So I think that's what he's looking at, more so than the best situation for him to play basketball. Because we all know the best situation is to go to L.A. and play with LeBron James, basketball-wise. But obviously I don't think he wants that anymore.
Well, to me, it's so fascinating that the Nets are the leading contender now. Because we just talked about Anthony Davis in the trade. The reason I said Boston is not getting into the game is because Kyrie's leaving. If Kyrie were to say, I'm staying, then guess what? They offer Tatum and they get Anthony Davis. So Kyrie, to me, is these 4 options. Stay in Boston and play with Anthony Davis. Go to the Knicks and play with Kevin Durant. Go to the Lakers and play with LeBron. Or go to Brooklyn and have a version of what you just had in Boston that did not work out with, I would say, a worse core of young players. Now, Boston, none of their young players are the level D'Angelo Russell is, but you think he might be, it might leave. They certainly would have to pay him this summer. But it is so fascinating to me that Kyrie might seemingly, I don't want to say make the same mistake, but make the same decision a second time. This one, he didn't pick to go to Boston. He just embraced it when he got there, at least temporarily. But it does go in line with what I've been hearing, which is that his dad, Drederick, was one of the driving factors to him demanding out of Cleveland. That didn't like that he had real issues with the way LeBron and his group ran things there, essentially, in his mind, and wanted to go somewhere else. And it would seem like his dad is the one that is really dead set on him being on the East Coast, whether it be New York or Brooklyn. I don't know how Kyrie feels about it, but it is fascinating to me that you would have an option to play with the best, the second best, and the 5th best player in the world, however you want to slot LeBron, Kevin Durant, Anthony Davis, and you might choose door number 4, which is to play with a promising young team in Brooklyn when you just had a promising young team in Boston and couldn't make it work.
Well, let's go like this. Boston, he made the decision, I don't want to play there. Don't want to spend the rest of my career in Boston. That's just a lot of pros have made that decision.
Sure.
So that's, you've played there. He's been there, and it's fairly obvious that he's worn out his welcome there. New York, I'm just going to slow you down a little bit. I don't believe it's Kyrie's choice with the Knicks, because I've talked to the Knicks, and the Knicks got some concerns about Kyrie. Like, they've done their independent study. They've got some concerns, and they've got some concerns. Does he want to be in New York, or does he want to be in Brooklyn? They know about his dad's influence, and they know the potential of him playing with LeBron. I don't think he's LeBron's first choice. If LeBron could pick all the free agents, I don't think he's picking Kyrie. So now we're at door number 4 in Brooklyn, and you guys might be a little bit different than me. Nick, I've spent some time with you and your dad. Your dad's had a tremendous influence. I didn't grow up with a dad, so I don't know what a dad and a dad's influence can do to you, but I do know that late in my career, one of the most influential men I had in my life was my grandfather, the guy I was named after. His favorite team was the Cleveland Browns. And I took an interview with Dwight Clark and the Cleveland Browns just so potentially at the end of my career I could play 1 year with my grandpa's favorite team in the state of Ohio. So I could just imagine if I grew up with a dad who groomed me, playing basketball as a former player, taking me to camp, seeing my talent develop, and that's my team, and now they're sexier. They moved from New Jersey to Brooklyn. They got a lot of good things going on in Brooklyn. I could see that getting me either confused or altering what I thought was best for me, Antoine.
I have no problem with that, and I understand that. My problem, if I'm looking at this, if I'm Kyrie Irving, or if I'm the GM of a team, and I'm trying to pick this. Now, does Kyrie just want to be a part of a team and be happy? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's that, a player, you have that right to just be happy. I'm kind of old school. And when I went to the Celtics, I knew it was a rebuilding. They drafted me 6 in '96. It was rebuilding. My whole goal as a player, like, can I get us back to the playoffs? It wasn't about winning the championship. Can we just get back to being a relevant playoff team? I never had the pieces around me to win an NBA title, but we had a good enough team to be competitive and to make the playoffs. Kyrie has to decide what he wants to be as a player. He is already an NBA champion. He's probably going to be a first-team ballot Hall of Famer, a terrific individual talent. But when is he going to want to join a team and win multiple championships? If that's not what he wants to do, Brooklyn has to think about that. Because they're a playoff team already without signing him. You could bring Russell back and be a playoff team again. So I think that's where he's putting himself in a situation. At this point in his career, you already leaving money on the table because you're not staying in Boston. You don't want to go win? That's a big question mark to me when you don't want to put yourself in the best situation. And the best situation is to go call LeBron and say, I want to come back, and let's try to do this again. And he don't want to do that. And that's what bothers me about Kyrie Irving's whole situation, that he doesn't seem like he wants to win because he's in a pretty good situation in Boston, and he's leaving that. And now you want to go start over again and rebuild in Brooklyn. They have to rebuild. It's no guarantee he's going to get another star to go with him.
Right.
So that's the question mark that I got with Kyrie Irving.
All right, we got to take a break. Antoine, stick around. Coming up, can Kawhi lead the Raptors to a winning Golden State? We'll talk about that next on First Things First.
I got a question about that. What was it, Hermetic Purple Line? The Hermetic Friends Instagram?